Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to share with you guys an unexpected event in my life. But before getting into the video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more interesting and engrossing real couple stories. Let's backtrack and revisit the year 2018 when I married a young pretty girl named Emma. Everything was going perfectly. All right. She used to be very responsible and concerned about the home chores. Everything was going well. Our physical relationship was really good. She was really chubby, and I remember people used to bully her for her fate. To be honest, I had never considered her gaining weight. We used to have a lot of fun and romances. She loved to stay at home and was really antisocial because, according to her, people made fun of her. I remember once I reached the house, I was really shocked to see my wife crying badly. When I asked her what happened to her, she said that neighbors' kids were calling her ugly for being fat. Well, I hugged my wife tightly and appreciated her beauty. I then motivated my wife to go to the gym. At first, she did not agree with me. But my great insistence made her agreed. But my life changed fully. When my wife joined the gym, I used to give my wife pick and drop from the gym. She used to do dieting as well. I remember I compelled her to eat salads and healthy foods. To be honest, I was completely okay with her fate, but I really did not want my wife upset and disappointed for being sad. Everything was going well. It literally took my wife 9 months to transform herself completely. She got a glass-hour figure and used to look very young. I really appreciate it. But I found her to be kind of proud of being beautiful. Soon, she joined a job as a receptionist in a cosmetic company. I found her so changed since she had joined the jobs, as she became so irresponsible to her home chores. I fully agree that she couldn't manage her job in household chores, but she must be responsible and sincere towards me. Like, our physical relationship was getting really bad. She used to be occupied outside most of the time. Even when she used to be at home, she always used to wear a lot of masks. She was getting concerned about her fitness and skin day by day. Once, when I was out of station, I kept calling my wife, but she did not respond to me. I remember she had never been irresponsible like this. In fact, before, whenever I used to go outside, she used to call me multiple times and send me messages saying, "I miss you and I love you." But this time my wife did not show any concern and love for me. I remember I reached house very early from out of station without informing as I wanted to give her surprise. But when I reached the house, I saw something that was really thought-provoking. I remember when I reached inside of the house, I found my wife fish out of water. Seeing me, she was literally sweating. When I hugged her, I felt like she was showing gestures to someone. I literally felt smell of cigarette from her. She was not a smoker at all. But still, I even noticed 2 empty coffee cups on the table, like if some guest had just gone. But when I asked her to who she was drinking coffee, she said that she was drinking 2 cups of coffee. Now, my bedroom sheets were also ruined. Like if someone had jumped over the bed, my wife's activities were getting mysterious day by day. Like once I was sleeping. Meanwhile, I got my eyes open in order to quench my thirst. I was shocked to see my wife nowhere in the bed. I looked her in there and finally found her in the washroom of our storeroom. I literally heard some sounds coming of the washroom. It seemed like she was on call with someone when I knocked at the door. She did not open the door. After 5 minutes, she came out of the washroom. When I asked her why she had not gone in our bedroom washroom, she began to say that she saw a lizard over there. Well, I did not say her anything, but I was really worried after seeing mobile phone in her hands. It was all clear that she was talking to someone on the call. My wife used to remain busy with her mobile phone. Most of the time, like before, she had never set up a password in her mobile phone. But I was shocked to see a load of passwords in her mobile phone. One day, something really strange happened. I remember I went to buy a laptop with my friend in the market. Meanwhile, my friend caught sight of my wife along with the man. He began to tell me about my wife's presence in the market. I was shocked to see my wife along with that man. It seemed like that man was really close to her as they both were holding their hands. I got furious and began to pretend in front of my friend that I already knew that person with my wife. I was really very angry with her when I reached the house and I rudely asked my wife about that man. At first, she was really confused, but later said to me that it was her friend's husband to whom she was buying a gift for her friend. When I asked why she had held his hand, she began to yell at me and said that I suspected her for no reason. Her lives were getting worse day by day. To be honest, I was tired of her irresponsible and careless act because one day I saw something that will surely shock you. My wife used to go regularly at her gym. One day I decided to pick my wife from the gym. I remember when I went to gym, I was shocked to see my wife nowhere in the gym. After about 15 minutes, I was shocked to see my wife coming along with the same man who was at the mall with her coming from the room. They were sweating badly. I remember when my wife found me in front of her, she was very confused and began to give me an explanation that he was her trainer. She said nothing and hurriedly went outside of the gym, asked her, what was her friend's husband doing with her? She began to shout over me that she was tired of my toxic questions. Well, she has never been so rude before. She always wanted a reason to fight with me. One day when I was extremely high and wanted my wife physically, she literally pushed me back and said that she was tired that time. I was sure that my wife was full that time because before she used to be very high that I always used to be ready for physical activities. Even one day when I reached my house very early from office, I saw my amazing fancy from a delivery boy. I pretended in front of her that I did not know about what she had received. I remember when I asked her what had just received from the delivery boy, she began to hide her parcel and said that she ordered some skincare products for herself. Well, I really ignored her. The same night I caught my wife secretly capturing pictures of lingerie that she just received. It seemed like she was sharing the pictures with someone and she seemed very excited while doing the chatting. Things are getting complicated. Day by day, once she got her glass figured, she became so arrogant and proud. I showed that my wife was dating with someone. I decided to chase her and go into the depth of the matter. The very next day I took off from my workplace and decided to follow up my wife. Well, I secretly followed her at first. She stopped at her workplace. It was about 2 p.m., which used to be her lunch break time. I was shocked to see my wife coming outside from her workplace. It seemed like my wife was waiting for someone and she was continuously looking at her wristwatch. I was shocked to see that same person the home I had met at mall and gym entering in my wife's car. He was sitting in the front seat of the car. It was clear that boy was not stable at all as he had not even a car. I was really angry on my wife's infidelity, but I took some courage and kept following them. I was shocked to see my wife purchasing expensive and branded stuff for her boyfriend. I remember her affair partner was literally taking no interest in my wife as all her concentration was on my wife's money. I was shocked to see my ATM card in my wife's hand. Well, I was extremely furious and decided to give herself a lifetime lesson. It was crystal clear that they were physically active at night. When my wife reached the house, she was tired as usual. She said nothing and slept. I remember her phone was ringing continuously and it was the call from her affair partner. The next day when my wife woke up and as usual prepared herself at front of mirror, I was shocked to see her hiding some wounds at her neck. I decided to chase her today as well. As soon as she went outside of the house, I kept following her as usual. At first, she went to her workplace and then at her lunch break, she went out with her affair partner. I kept following them. And finally they stopped at an apartment. It must be her boyfriend's apartment. Finally, they both stopped at this TV room and began to cuddle. I hid myself under the curtain silently and steadily. I opened my phone secretly and began to record each and everything. I was shocked to see my wife is desperate that she had to wear off her clothes right at the TV. Lunch. They both were fully immersed in each other. I literally wanted to cry at that moment because she should understand that I accepted her and loved her when people used to make fun of her being so flat. The way she was doing everything to me was unbearable for me. After recording the video, I went out of this apartment. Well, when I reached the house, I found many expensive things. Nowhere in the house, like some expensive watches in airports. It was clear that my wife sold them all for her boyfriend or maybe gifted them to her. Well, I finally sent my Vice sex video with her boyfriend to her from another number. I demanded money for her by saying that if she wouldn't give money to me, then I would upload it on an adult website and share it with all her friends. I remember when my wife reached the house, she was shivering and sweating badly. When I asked her what happened to her, she said nothing and went to the washroom to shower. I remember she was continuously crying and obviously seemed very uncomfortable and restless. My wife was continuously calling someone and it was clear that person was not picking her call because she seemed very nervous and frightened. That night was really not less than a nightmare for her. I remember I caught her crying badly in the washroom. Well, I felt very bad because I really did not want to hurt her anymore. Yes, I agreed. She was unfair to me, but I did not have enough courage to see her like this. I was shocked to see my wife going into the kitchen. It seemed like she was going to attempt suicide by using a sharp knife. While I hardly followed her that time, my wife was on call and was crying badly. I remember she was literally begging her boyfriend and asking him for money, and she did not want her video to be viral. I remember my wife was yelling at her boyfriend that he left her in this critical situation alone. I was shocked to hear this from my wife, that he was saying to her boyfriend that she had her boyfriend's baby in her womb. My feet froze after listening to her words. I remember she threw away her phone and cried badly. She was just about to go into a state of unconsciousness. Meanwhile, she looked back and obviously realized that I had listened to her conversations with her boyfriend. She began to cry loudly and asked me for money when I asked why she wanted to have such a big amount of money. She confessed everything. I remember she was crying badly and requested me to forgive her. While I remember my eyes were full of tears. I screamed and asked her why she did this to me. I showed a video to her and made it clear that I was doing this all as I wanted her to realize that she was touching me for the wrong person. I did not even support her at her difficult time. I made it clear that I accepted her when people used to make fun of her. My wife was regretting it badly and hugged me. I pushed her back and asked her to leave me. I divorced her and made her clear that I really did not want to meet her once again in my life. She's literally the in-person for the fake materialistic person. To be honest, I really miss her but hate her. At the same time, the way she played with my feelings and emotions were unforgettable. I came to know from one of my friends that she joined a high school for a job. What would you do if you were in the same situation?